Hello, my name is Jess. I am a first year gardener here in Zone 8B. I am in the outskirts of Dallas, Texas, and I just wanted to show you guys around my garden as a first time gardener. I've been sharing a lot of this process over on my Instagram and TikTok and even uploading it here to YouTube Shorts, but I just wanted to make a nice, long, in-depth video of everything that I have going on in the garden right now and the main mistakes that I made to help you not make those same mistakes as a first time gardener like me. So let's go. Let's start with some of the first things that I planted in the garden back in February and March. One of the first things that I put down as a first-time gardener, it's kind of silly, but carrots. I know carrots can be a little complicated, but I just went ahead and did my go at it. They're looking green, they're looking nice and strong. I thinned them out after about a month or so, and even every once in a while, I'll still go in here and see if I missed anything. The bigger they get, the easier it is to tell if you did plant them too close, like this one right here. These two might be a little too close to each other, so I'm gonna pull this one. So let's see what's happening in here. There we go. Wow. Oh my goodness. This is actually really cool. I'm so happy about it. I know there's so many different ways to do carrots. I know people just chaos garden their carrots and throw the seeds on the floor, don't thin them out because that's what works for them, which is great. I was going to resort to that if doing it properly didn't work. And so far it's looking great. These are Davern's carrots, and I actually bought these seeds from the Dollar Tree. Do not sleep on Dollar Tree seeds. A lot of these seeds are from Dollar Tree. I believe it's like 3 packets of seeds for $1.25. Such an amazing deal, especially if you're trying to garden on a budget. And the last thing I want to mention about these carrots is how I've been growing them. So the soil that I used to grow this is BM7. This is being sold at my local nursery right now. A lot of the stuff that I started in the very beginning has the BM7 soil, and you can tell. Later on, I started to use Kellogg's raised bed potting mix soil for these grow bags. That's one of the mistakes that I have made as a first-time gardener, and I'll go into depth with that later. Make sure you have high-quality soil to be planting your carrots in. Let's do a taste test. But, my gosh. They definitely need a little bit more time to get a little bit more sweet, but that is a carrot if I've ever tasted one. Very earthy, a little spicy, pretty good. Around the time I planted the carrots, I also planted this lettuce that is still going pretty strong. I used the BM7 soil in this as well, and it's just been feeding us so well. This is another Dollar Tree seed packet. I believe it's a butter crunch lettuce. Around that time, I also planted some beet seeds, also from the Dollar Tree. We're not surprised. I've already harvested a couple and they came out so nice. I probably could have waited a little bit longer for them to be more baseball size. They were more in between baseball and golf ball. All of these in here are golf ball size, and I'm going to wait a few more weeks to see how large they get. Grown with the BM7 soil, and it's just doing so well. I only started fertilizing about 2 weeks ago with these. I gave them I believe it's called the Farmer's Secret, just to start bulking up the roots a bit. But I think taking out a few of them gave the other leaves more space and sunlight to start putting more energy to the bulbs. And one of the last things that I remember planting pretty early on in the year were these Yukon Gold potatoes. Back when I lived in San Diego, I did grow some potatoes in these exact grow bags, and they did pretty well. The potatoes that I planted back in San Diego, though, however, were indeterminate potatoes, meaning the higher the stems got, the more soil you added, it would grow potatoes along the soil, no matter how high you got. However, Yukon Gold potatoes are determinate varieties, meaning it'll only grow potatoes around where you planted the potato seed. So I didn't need to unfold this too tall to start adding a lot of soil and all of that. It's only about this big of soil. I feel like I should have added some more. The rest of the height is straw. And I was reading that potatoes can still grow in between the straw. But I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about these potatoes. It was my first time doing it with straw, and we'll see how they go, but they're kind of already dying back. I don't know if it's because they're getting ready, or I think I might have overwatered it a little bit. You win some, you lose some. I don't know what's going to happen with those. Now let's just walk the garden and talk about everything else. Those grow bags were the only ones that I remember kind of planting very early on in the year, and I wanted to show you how they're doing so far. So now coming over here, my husband actually made this really quick. It was super easy to put together. And we filled this bed with the BM7 soil along with compost, and it's doing so well. I was not planning on putting tomato plants in here, but what happened was Costco was selling tomato plants, 3 of them in one small pot for about $10. I needed to take it home, and I rescued it from those pots and planted them in here. I believe these are Better Boy tomatoes, and they're thriving. They're doing good in their new environment. You got some beautiful strong flowers here, and I saw this somewhere, but tomatoes are self-pollinating. But if you wanted to help them a little bit and you see some flowers going on here, I just go ahead and shake it gently like this. I'm trying not to crack any of the stems, but I give it just a little shake to help with the pollination. I got some 2 big guys right here that are still waiting to ripen, and new tomatoes right here. Same thing over here. We got some good ones going on. In between these plants, a few days ago, I actually planted some radish seeds. These are English breakfast radishes, and then these are some classic radishes. Again, both from the Dollar Tree. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't even like radishes, but they're fun to grow. It only takes about 30 days. It's super quick. And in the back right here, I planted some long beans for the summer because they tolerate the heat very well here in Texas. I got these seeds from a neighbor, and they're just going to trellis up this wall right here. I'm going to do a little DIY twine trellis. I have an idea, and I might make a video about it soon. Back in this corner, I planted a loofah seed that I also got from the same neighbor. I'm excited to see it grow up and again, kind of just trellis along the fence line. Now over here we have our pea station. This is sugar snap pea that is taking off so well, and you guessed it, these seeds are from the Dollar Tree. Brought over a stick to start leaning them against because they toppled over this short little trellis. I didn't expect it to be that tall, but you know, this is my first time gardening. What do I know? Then these two, I have normal peas. I thought I planted them a little bit too late in the season, and now that the Texas heat is starting to pick up a little bit, I don't know how much longer I have for them to actually start blooming, but we got a little bug in there. We got some buds going on here, so maybe we'll have a chance. We'll see. Moving on to my peppers, here's what's happening with my peppers. I did some companion planting with these two peppers. This one was on its own, and it is not thriving, not because of the companion planting, but because a few weeks ago it rained so much, and these just never bounced back. They are still yellow. They are thin. They're not really producing much. I have one random serrano pepper and a couple of bell peppers that are also turning yellow and not getting any bigger. I might have to pull this plant, but this is part of the mistakes that I made as a first-time gardener. The soil that I used in this got super compacted during the rain, which can happen with any soil. But the problem was there was no help with drainage, meaning there was no perlite or any kind of gaps in between the soil to help with drainage, to help with oxygen and all of that. I took out the plants, I took off all the soil, which was super hard as a rock, and even though it was wet, it was very compacted. Added in perlite, mixed it in really well with all the soil, put it all back, repotted these little plants. It's not coming back after that still, but I know that was the issue. Peppers hate wet feet. They want to be able to breathe. They want to be able to drain well. And now I know. Moving on to this grow bag right here, I have cilantro popping out everywhere. And that's because in between my pepper plants, I just did a bunch of seeds of cilantro. And honestly, I'm so glad that I did. We love using cilantro. Taking a look at the pepper plants, it's been raining a little bit too much for my favorite here in Texas right now, but which means it's kind of turning a little yellow and stems are going to start popping off if they feel like they can't hold on anymore. But taking a look at this growth, man, I mean, it seems like they might be liking it. I have a bunch of jalapeno peppers going on over here. Something that I did test though with these two plants is with this one on the left, I actually pinched it. And I have seen a difference of how many flowers there are on this plant versus this plant. When you do pinch a plant, it does set the plant back a little bit to obviously start to focus on growing more stems, to heal that little cut that you made. So I haven't had too many peppers yet. This one has more because it has more time to just keep growing. And these flowers are ready to give me some peppers. It's going to be a lot more than this one. I can tell that for sure. Last pepper that I have going on here is a Anaheim pepper, doing pretty well so far as well. I did pinch this one too. As you can see, that's where I pinched it right there. And it has become a lot bushier. And around the entire pepper, I planted some onion sets. These are some white onions, but these green onions, I could easily snap and use them in the kitchen already. Green onion smells so good. Sometimes I just be pinching them just to smell. We're going to get to these garden beds in just a second, but I just want to acknowledge all the grow bags that I have here, because if you want to get started on gardening, growing in grow bags is such a great way to save space, one, and two, to save some money. But yeah, if you want to start in some grow bags, which is such a great idea, I'll link them below. These are the exact same ones that I have. I did another companion grow bag, which is so cool. You could also companion plant in grow bags with some onion sets here and a tomato plant, and it's doing great. All right, now for the big beds. This was such a roller coaster to get to this point, but we are now in a place where things are growing. If you have seen any of my social media posts about these beds, you know exactly what's going on. Long story short, this was the biggest gardening mistake that I have made as a new beginner, how I built my beds and what I put in my beds. I highly recommend watching the video that I posted to my Instagram. I'll link it in the description below, where I discovered what was happening in this bed, where I went wrong, and what I decided to do with it. This is bed number 1. Bed number 2 has a different story. But here's where we're at so far after doing that transformation. We have things growing. I have some Flor de Junio beans back here. These beans were gifted to me by a friend, and they're from the Urban Farmer. They're doing so good so far, and I cannot wait to see how they continue to grow. I believe I need to make a trellis for them. So I'm going to stick 2 poles on both sides of the bed and do a Florida weave with some twine. I got some massive sunflowers growing over here. There's 3 here and there's 2 more over here. It's the same variety. And I also planted a couple more sunflower seeds. Let's see if they grow or if these are going to block them off. I now have some squash growing in these beds. Thank God, because all of my squash seedlings died before I fixed up the soil. Setting my tripod down so I can use both hands. I think I see something happening here. I am seeing some red little dots. I don't know if those are eggs. I don't know if those are bugs. I'm gonna have to do some research on that, but I hope these aren't any. And I have a tomato plant growing over here. Pretty good. This is a Better Boy slicer tomato. It's all right. It's all right. This is for a science experiment because I'm comparing it to this one on bed number 2. So bed number 2 had the same issue. I had drainage issues. Things were dying. The soil was bad. I dug up all the cardboard from this one, which was way much more than the other one. And I didn't add coconut coir or perlite this time. I could have, but I didn't want to spend all of that money. I added RevitaSoil instead. RevitaSoil actually reached out to me on Instagram. They saw my struggle video about this bed and they said, let me help you. They sent me some nutrients to put into this bed. And you guys, everything is growing so well now. This is the same plant that's in the other bed. I planted them the same day. They were the same height. Everything looked the same. This one just looks so much more stronger and it's only been about 2 weeks. I have some basil around the sides of the beds, more tomato plants, and a couple more Roma tomato plants in here. And we got some oregano creeping over here. I'm just so happy to be seeing things thrive in this bed. It has been a long month of me figuring out why my stuff isn't growing, why everything is struggling in my beds. That's pretty much what I have growing in the garden. And if you take anything from this video, is that it's okay to make mistakes. Obviously, you're going to. Don't get discouraged. Research and find a solution for your problems and give it another try, because if I didn't give my beds another try, there would be nothing in here. The biggest mistake being how much cardboard I layered in each of these beds. It didn't break down enough. Only do 1 layer, please. And how I amended the soil or lack thereof. If you happen to purchase the Kellogg soil, it is not game over. All you got to do is add some nutrients to it, add some drainage, which could be vermiculite, perlite. The coconut coir is nice to help with some water retention because these things can compact and dry out easily. Thank you so much for watching. I am truly enjoying being out here in the garden and getting my hands in the dirt. And if you enjoy this kind of content too, feel free to subscribe and I will be back with more gardening videos.